Hey, and welcome back to Elijah Miles The Journey. A very good morning, afternoon, or evening. Again, as always, depending upon the time of day that you're joining us here on The Journey. I'm really excited today. All of you know that the last 3 weeks we've been dealing with the issue of mental health and asking for help, just due to the fact that we as human beings don't have all the answers, and we as human beings want better for ourselves. And the greatest and biggest self-love and move for ourselves is to ask for help when we don't know and we feel stuck and we feel in a dark place. And in that vein of self-love and self-help, it calls for us to be vulnerable and open up. And that, and only that way, and through that, can we find healing and can we find happiness. We have to learn how to dig deep and face our demons, face those pains and traumas in order to heal. And I'm super, super excited today because someone has reached out and wanted to share their story. And I'm super, super touched, super, super grateful for her courage and willingness to be vulnerable to tell her story, because, again, the whole reason for this channel is we all have light and we're all pieces of a greater puzzle, and I can help some people, but today I know she's going to help a lot more just by sharing her story. And we're going to give you all ways to maybe identify and ways to reach out for that help, no matter how small your issue, no matter how Mount Everest your issue. So join me in welcoming Melanie. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super good. Have a seat.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, excuse us. Roxy always wants to get into the shot. All right.
So cute.
Well, I'm going to turn this way because we're just going to have a little conversation. Melanie's new to this whole, right? This whole process and whatnot.
Oh yeah, definitely a first timer.
Yes, but I'm super grateful that you reached out and you
Thank
were like,
you.
I want to tell my story so that,
Yeah,
you could help others.
definitely ready.
Because it's not an easy topic, because it's become so taboo.
Mm-hmm.
But like you were seeing on Facebook, on my Facebook page and whatnot, that I just want to normalize it because it's become so taboo.
Definitely, and the stigma is the thing that's creating a big problem as well. So.
And it hinders so many people from reaching out.
Oh yeah, so I'm here to help.
Yay! All right,
Sorry.
so we want to know a little bit about you.
Yeah. So, I grew up in a pretty typical family. My mom and dad, they were workaholics, so I was mainly raised by my grandmother. But she died when I was about 14. And that's when things sort of took a turn for the worse, because I started, getting into bad things. I started drinking and doing, typical teenage rebellion type style things. And that's where it all began, really. And so by the time I was in high school, I was smoking weed or pot or whatever, and it led to me experimenting with other things. And so after that, time elapsed and I started...
So what other things were you experimenting with?
Well, I did other drugs, just mainly pot and alcohol in high school. So by the time I was out of high school, though, I started experimenting with, prescription painkillers and things like that. I did, a lot of bad street drugs, ecstasy, things like that. And but once I tried painkillers, I realized that sort of became my true love, in a sense, because it made me feel, normal. And I, for the first time, didn't have this anxiety that I once had.
Yeah, so that I was going to
before.
ask. So what was, you said it made you feel normal. So what were you feeling? I mean, as a child and because obviously this all goes back, and now in hindsight you realize there's.
I had a lot of separation anxiety from my mother. Like I said, she was a workaholic, so I was always away from her, and when she would leave the house or say that she would leave somewhere, I had this, I don't know why, just it gave me this feeling of just.
Yeah, what did it feel like?
It was nervousness, and I felt scared, or it's hard to kind of explain, but I just didn't want her to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always leaving to go, do what she needed to do, work, whatever. And like I said, I was raised by my grandmother, so we became very close. And then so she raised me, and then she died. That's when things started taking a turn.
Got it.
And so that's where, my life started over again. But by the time I was 21, I became I became very addicted to prescription painkillers. I started with Norco, and then...
So what's Norco? I don't know.
Norcos are hydrocodone.
Okay.
It's a drug,
Yeah.
a prescription drug for pain.
Okay.
And that's basically what it is.
And what do they make you feel?
It makes you basically feel... I felt normal, like I said.
What your version of... meaning like it masked that...
It masked the anxiety that I had before, because I used to get anxiety when I used to go to family functions, when I used to go to, any party a friend was having. So I had social anxiety. So it masked all of that, and it made me feel okay.
Okay.
It even masked it when I went to work.
Mm-hmm.
I loved going to work and having these, this medication that, like, when I can approach people and feel totally fine, not nervous, this, that.
Yeah.
So that's where, it all began, really, with me having a problem. And I was very much in denial in the beginning. I just thought in my head, it's kind of a sick thing to me that I thought to myself, I'm never going to stop.
Did you want to?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I didn't want to stop.
Because it didn't feel like, what, you had a...
I felt fine. I was functioning. I was working. I was doing everything normal.
And that meant everything to you, or?
And it didn't mean everything to me. It just meant that for the first time in my life, I wasn't feeling this angst that I felt before.
Yeah.
And so it completely masked it, and I thought I was set for life.
Okay.
And so in that mentality,
Yeah.
it's totally wrong, because that wasn't the venue to take. I could have gotten help. I could have went to therapy. I could have done counseling. But
you felt normal, so...
Yeah.
That's self-medicating.
That, and in the view of my family, for me to tell them that I wanted help or go to counseling, it was kind of just, it was a taboo. Like, what do you... Counseling?
Because
like,
it means we failed somewhere too, right?
Or I don't know what their thought process was about it. Maybe they learned from their parents that it was a taboo type thing.
Sure.
Which, I'm not sure. But they didn't take me seriously, so I continued with the drug use.
Okay.
So one day I went to the doctor and I said, look, this is after I decided I wanted to quit doing the painkillers, because I knew that wasn't the right thing to do.
Okay. It because it was, did you feel out of control? So that's where I'm trying to, how did you get to the point or that place going to say you didn't want to do it anymore?
Well, it was the chase. It was too much work. It became a lifestyle.
Okay.
It became an everyday lifestyle. And I couldn't take it anymore, because I would have... It became a lifestyle. It was a part of my life, in where I had to go on the streets and go find what I needed to feel normal and becoming... So
that's the chase.
Yeah. That's,
like trying to find the pills.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm becoming physically and mentally addicted to these prescription medications is... I don't know how to explain, but agonizing because when you don't have them, you're completely miserable because it messes with the dopamine in your head. So when you don't have it, or when you do have it, it replaces the dopamine after using it for so long.
Okay.
So when you don't have it, you're depleted completely of dopamine. So you go into a complete depression. And then the physical dependency part is pain in your body, in your legs. You get restless leg syndrome. You can't sleep at night. Insomnia. Like, it's a whole deal.
So then you got to chase
so that
you get out of that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the chase. So I got tired of that and I went on my own to the doctor, but I didn't tell him that I had an addiction problem.
Okay.
I just said that I have anxiety.
Okay.
So he prescribed me Klonopin. So
and I don't get,
then
that's
benzodiazepine. It's an anti-anxiety prescription pill.
Okay.
You know. And so now,
which does the same thing as the Norco.
Yeah. So it just, I'm sorry, my hair.
That's okay.
Okay. But it does not do the same thing. It just reduces anxiety.
Okay.
That's all it does.
Okay.
So
so were you using both?
So then
okay.
I was still addicted to the prescription painkillers, and then I had this prescription for Klonopin, which is a benzodiazepine, which those together are very dangerous to use together, but they kind of create a tolerance with each other. So it's interesting because you become tolerant to one, then another, and then they just like somehow balance off of each other.
Right. Okay.
But it's a dangerous combination because you can easily die.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like your heart can just fail. Like you or depress and slowly die like at nighttime or whatever. Right. So
but you're so desperate to feel not stressed and not anxious.
Yeah.
That you're more willing to put your life at risk to feel normal.
Exactly. That was the normal to me.
Wow.
And so it extended up until I got pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
And so I found out I was pregnant with her at 14 weeks.
Okay.
And I immediately...
And you were how old?
I was 24.
Okay.
So I was still under my parents' insurance.
Got it.
So I had to open up to them that not only am I pregnant, but I need to go to rehab, outpatient rehab. So I did that.
Okay.
And I did that. It helped.
How? Like, I'm trying to even put myself in there and go, I mean, you were asking for help.
Yeah.
Because what hit you that prompted say, hey, I need to go to rehab?
Well, I was pregnant.
But some people don't even, that like doesn't faze them.
Oh no, I was not in any, I did not want my child to bear any weight of my negative decisions or, you know what I mean? So I was like, absolutely not. So that's what prompted me to go to rehab.
Yeah.
And so I did that. It helped. I did the courses throughout the entire pregnancy, and I became clean. I was clean then.
Was that a hard process?
It was a very hard process because they wanted... Because
it's both mental and physical work, right?
Well, that's the thing. They wanted me to go on another medication called Suboxone or Subutex.
Okay.
And I wasn't willing to do that because that can also cause withdrawal for the baby.
Oh, wow.
So I had to fight with my doctor and wean myself off of this medication so that by the end of my term, there would be no consequences for my baby.
And so you're saying too that because of your pregnancy, your baby also was being affected, or you were afraid of that?
I was afraid that she would have been affected. That's why I went to inpatient. They wanted to prescribe.
And quitting cold turkey could be
dangerous for the baby. I could have had.
And you.
Yeah. I could have lost the baby if I would have done cold turkey. Basically, that's what they told me, and it's true.
Yeah.
So I did do the Subutex program just for a short period of time. weaned off, and then I took off out of that rehab because they wanted me to stay on the medication full term, and I said no.
Even though they knew you were pregnant?
Yeah, they wanted me
Wow.
to stay full term, and even though that the baby could have
So they were more concerned with your well-being than the baby?
no, they're
Okay.
concerned with the baby's well-being, but they were concerned that I would have relapsed onto the other drugs.
Got it. Okay.
Because yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's how it worked out. But I was headstrong at that point, and I was okay enough because they weaned me off what they prescribed me.
Because it's really a choice.
Yeah.
Getting to that moment
Yeah.
of going
But-
and then being stubborn as hell.
Yeah. So I had to be stubborn. I fought with my doctor.
Because you're fighting for yourself
Yeah.
and now your baby.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so after that point, I delivered my healthy baby. I was sober and I felt great.
Okay.
Well, postpartum set in,
Wow.
and soon after, I was back on the painkillers and
Self. Not the
no,
prescribed. Okay.
no. So I was back in that lifestyle again, and the guilt.
But it didn't make you. Did this time because depression's different than anxiety, right?
Yeah,
Did it?
but
even,
it helped.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah, because it numbs you. I mean,
Got
you
it.
know, it numbs everything.
Got it.
The anxiety, the depression, everything.
Got it.
And so soon after, I started again. And the guilt that weighed on me over that with having a child was terrible.
Mm.
But it lasted 4 years, and for me to stop again. And this time it was cold turkey, and I went through, at this point, I had graduated from Norco to methadone.
Is that you or me?
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hey, time out. Hold on one sec. We gotta
Yeah.
mute the phone. It's all new.
We can edit this out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, let me just turn it off.
My fault for not. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We're real and unfiltered here.
Yeah. So
I forgot to tell her to turn it off the
yeah,
ringer.
sorry.
No, you're
Okay.
good. That's what I like. This
So,
is just
anyways,
a chat in the my living room / apartment / studio.
Yeah. So, anyways, like I said, it started up again. It lasted 4 years after she was born, but I had graduated to methadone, which is a very high power opiate.
Right.
And you can go to clinics for that, but I did not.
You mean to get prescribed it or to?
Yeah, to get prescribed it, because they offer methadone for typically heroin addicts to get off of heroin.
And isn't that also part of what meth is made of, or
No,
meth-
nothing to do with meth.
Okay.
Nothing to do with
I
meth.
don't know.
Methadone is totally separate.
how it's made? Okay.
Yeah, so it's just a very high power opiate that stretches out longer so that you don't have to
You're-
seek. You know what I mean? And it keeps you stabilized for some people.
Got it.
But for me, it was another addiction and another thing that numbed me.
So is
And
this
so-
also on top of?
No.
Okay.
So solid.
You're just like, hey, I don't have
Yeah.
to chase it as. Okay. Got
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
so now I'm on methadone, and I got in a car accident July 14th of 2018.
Okay.
And I decided this
By
life,
yourself?
I was by myself.
Okay.
Lucky, because I didn't have my child with me.
Right.
I rear-ended somebody very badly. I hurt
Mm.
myself very badly.
Wow.
And just something clicked in my head at that point in time. I was very depressed at the time too. I mean, because in the whole chase, like I said, it's just sad. It's depressing. You don't want to believe that you have a problem, but you do.
Mm.
So at that point in time, I reached out again to my parents and I said, I need to go to rehab. And they said, okay, we'll find a place for you to go.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll
Because
find
you
a place.
don't always get that support.
No.
Sometimes you're on your
And
own.
I'm an adult.
Right.
At this
right?
point, I'm 27, 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an adult. I shouldn't expect anything from them, really. And so I reached out and I said, Dad, I need to move back home. I need to get sober. Because they knew that I had a problem.
Okay.
They did. But it was all up to me. You know, it's willpower. And,
Did they talk to you about it? Did they push you about it? Or did they just kind of...
They didn't. I opened up to them about everything. So what happened was...
But, I mean, like, they knew, but just...
They knew they wanted me to stop, but they didn't understand the addiction, and especially with that drug.
So they didn't harp on you and...
No.
Okay.
They didn't know with that specific drug, methadone,
Okay.
what the withdrawal was going to be like, and that's why I had asked, please, can you help me with rehab?
Got it.
Well, since I was the age that I was, I no longer had insurance, and they started realizing, oh wow, this is expensive.
Wow.
So a week into me, okay, so when I got in the car accident, I asked my dad to move back home. I told him I need to go to rehab. And that's when they started researching places.
Right.
So I'm back at home at my dad's house, who happens to be an alcoholic.
Okay.
And so they found out how expensive it was going to be. And so I never ended up going to rehab. I never ended up getting help. I never ended up going to counseling. And I had, made these little requests like, can you please help me in any way?
And without insurance, rehab is what?
You have to
go
through...
pipe dream?
No, it's a pipe dream because you have to go through the county. And it's a 4 to 6 week wait, and I needed it now.
Now, okay.
So, I detoxed at my dad's house with my daughter, which, I mean...
Just alone, by yourself?
Alone, and with him coming home intoxicated. And so...
Your own private hell.
Yeah, it was my own private hell. And basically he quarantined me into his house, in which at the time we fought. I hated him, he hated me. And now I consider it a blessing because he saved my life. My dad saved my life.
Wow.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
Even through his own self-medicating and
problems. Through his problems, I mean...
There's still that love.
I love my dad. So it took me 4 months at his place to fully get off of that medication. And it was all about strength at the time because of my daughter. I mean, if I didn't have her, I probably would be on the streets right now.
Wow.
And that's what really helped me through, because I was tired. I was sick and tired and sick of being sick and tired all the time.
Oh my God, I just said that in like my first... I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, and so that's just basically where it all ended. And, I shortly after moved to LA because I couldn't handle living in his home anymore. So...
But what an example to him.
Yeah, so...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you see that?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah. And
whether that, was an impetus for him or not. What a strength for you.
He wanted me out, but he misses me so much
now. Of course.
And we have the best relationship now ever. It was just a whole thing, though. You know what I mean? So I just strongly urge that if you feel a certain type of way, or if you're not feeling, especially in your younger years, you don't know what the hell you're doing, or you don't know where to go or the right route to take, and people always resort to other things that are not good for you coping wise, and especially alcohol, drugs. Not like, I have hundreds of friends who cope in that way, and we
literally have the tools at our disposal, but it's been so bastardized and so frowned on, and you're weird or crazy when it should be the most normal thing, like going to the doctor or the dentist. I talk about
exactly.
Something that kind of stood out to me. You said if you didn't have your daughter, what would you say, or what kind of encouragement, or what if people don't have that? so
You
many
know,
just feel so isolated in a dark place
it
with no hope.
it really didn't. It had a lot to do with my daughter because the guilt weighed so heavily on my shoulders about being an addict and a mother. There's just those two things that are very heavy on somebody, and especially a mother. It looks terrible from the outside. People look at you like you're a POS, you know what I mean?
You can say it.
I was ashamed and guilt and everything else, but without that,
Isn't that the big thing though? It's so funny that, not funny, but it's interesting to me that what do I want to say? We kind of take this helicopter view of what everyone else is thinking of it, instead of like really turning on.
in. Yeah. And so without her, I still wanted to quit.
Okay.
It
was sick of being sick and tired.
Yeah. I was just done. I partied in my early years. I had my fun. I was coming up on 30 years old. I needed to get my life together. I wanted to stabilize myself, and so moving to LA was definitely different because everything is so accessible out here. So coping for me out here is different.
Put yourself right into the fire.
Yeah. But the plus part of all of that and moving here is that I was able to enter a drug and alcohol counseling program so that I can help other people.
Oh, wow.
In my position, or who are or were in my position.
Yeah.
Because that's what my calling is. I can't not give back to that community because they do need help. Addicts are out there and they're everywhere and they feel hopeless, and I felt like very hopeless.
And I know we say it like addicts, but it's
not just addicts. It's people who feel different or who aren't,
it's a sickness,
or who feel displaced with reality, or
right. But I'm saying like we say it like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, ooh, addicts, but it shouldn't be. It's no different than like flu. No different. You know what I'm trying to say?
It's a disease.
It's a disease. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's what's going to be argued the most about this, is that if it is or not a disease, it is a disease. Because it alters your brain.
Right. And I'm coming from the standpoint too of we need a lot less judging.
Yes.
Because we don't know people's journeys and the steps that they've taken, and we need a lot more love and support.
Yeah.
And I know it can get to that place where you want to wash your hands.
Yeah.
But realizing that it's a sickness.
Oh, yeah.
It's a sickness that can be cured.
100% treated and cured.
But we turn our back so much on that because we don't understand it. And we think it's, yes, it's definitely a choice that's been made.
Yeah.
But there comes a point during that choice that control is lost.
Yeah. And so it goes the same for anybody who has depression, generalized anxiety disorder, so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel shame in the fact that you feel a certain type of way. And so reaching
that's a big part
out,
of it, shame.
Definitely. And,
probably one of the biggest.
And guilt even some families, they frown upon their children, having depression or, saying, oh, Mom, I have anxiety, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kids are shamed into thinking, oh my God, I'm wrong, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And I appreciate too that you're coming from so many different standpoints. So, and I appreciate your story too because, wow, nice soundbite. Appreciate your story because it comes from something like, which may seem so simple as anxiety, but can control people's lives.
Yeah. It definitely still controls my life because living a sober life now, I have separation anxiety from my own daughter. So when I leave for work or when I leave for school,
it's like roles are reversed.
Yeah.
You're afraid that she's going to feel the same way you
Yes.
did as a kid.
And she's such a tough girl, and she doesn't feel that way at all.
And I've met her daughter. Oh my
Yeah.
God, she's so cute.
Yeah.
She's a doll.
But I leave work and I have that anxiety come right back to me, and it's very unpleasant. And her dad and I have a really great relationship, so I'm always, and she's with him when I go to work, so
Right.
I'm constantly like on my phone, like,
How is
are
she?
you guys okay?
Right.
Like 5 minutes after I leave the house.
Yeah.
But so
It's a
far,
process.
so far that's how I haven't actually gone to counseling, but I have made appointments.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming up. Like I said, I'm newly sober. I'm a year and a half.
Okay.
So I'm ready to take those steps to get help. And I mean,
So far it's all been on your own.
it's all been on my own. And I've learned a lot through school too, because I just learned, the 12 core function of counseling and the pharmacological aspects of drugs and alcohol.
Oh,
in the
so this is
brain.
through school.
Yes.
Oh.
So actually, through school,
You're
things
taking
have
classes,
been
okay.
so things have been very triggering for me,
Mm.
and not in the sense that I want to use, in the sense that I realize I need help.
Mm. Wait, say that again?
I'm not.
No, just those last three words.
I need help.
Yeah. The hardest words to say
Yeah,
sometimes,
and
but the
so-
most powerful.
Yeah, and so I even went to my instructor and I said, look, with this job that I'm going to be doing as a drug and alcohol counselor, I'm realizing that I need help.
Mm.
I cannot do this job unless I fix myself completely.
Wow. And I appreciate what you said before the camera started rolling. Tell, you've made a lot of appointments, but tell what you told me. That was amazing.
So, in regard to me getting help, I used to call. Just picking up the phone was difficult for me to call to make the appointments.
Mm.
Just picking up the phone and dialing the number and
Wow.
talking to somebody was difficult for me. So that was hard. So finally, once I built up enough courage to do that
Mhm.
and make the appointment, okay, I was fine there. But then getting there and making it to the doorstep there, I couldn't physically even bring myself to do it because I was scared, and I just felt like I couldn't. I guess it was just the anxiety, like I said,
Yeah.
from when I was younger. Like, it had built and built and built, and just getting to that point of opening up to a stranger even, like, how do I know if they're not gonna judge me, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So what I learned in my courses was that these people that are here to help, they're supposed to help with unconditional positive regard. And
Ooh, say that again?
unconditional positive regard, which means no judgment.
Yeah.
And that's something that I didn't know before when I was trying to get help and making these appointments. I didn't know that I wasn't going to be judged, or the person wasn't going to say, you did what?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just the basics of, what I know now, and now that I am able to go and, make my appointments, get help, and now that I know that people they're educated,
Yeah.
and they know how to deal with people.
Right.
It helps.
It's their gift. It's their passion.
Yeah, it helps a lot to know that now.
I think, yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
do you mind? We're going to make this 2 episodes.
That's fine.
Okay.
Totally.
So now you've heard my story. You've heard Mel's story, Melanie's story. And now, because she's in a school for it, and she's been, and I've gone through therapy, and you're researching it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
about
a little
to reach
bit
out.
educated about it. I just finished my first quarter at UCLA, so that's cool. But I'm barely, getting through the process
Yeah.
of this, so it'll be helpful along the way.
But she's already shared some of the information. She's brought a whole notebook full of information
Yeah.
that we're going to pass on, so that those who want to get help can
Yeah.
know where they can reach out. Yeah. So we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
And make it more clear.
Yeah.
And put out in the next episode, because I also did research on apps
Okay.
Because there's sometimes the excuses I can't even get out of bed,
Yeah.
which is very real. I get it.
I've
But
been there
you can pick up your
before.
phone.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we just want to get over, and I know I've been promising, like this episode keeps getting pushed out in where to reach out, how to reach out, where to go, what to do, who to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely pull the resources because I do have tons of resources that I will pull through with. So
Yeah.
definitely on the next episode, we'll immediately start with where to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, sweet. Thanks.
So, like I always say, we will obviously continue. So we're going into week 5 now, next week.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for
you.
coming and doing this and being
appreciate
vulnerable because
Yeah.
that's through vulnerability and through facing our pain and our fears is the
Yeah.
only way to heal
Definitely.
and find happiness.
And this is just my story, you know what I mean? But I'm here to help everybody. I don't discriminate against, anything or anyone.
None of us
I'm
do,
here to
right?
help. No.
Yeah.
This is for help for everyone. I realize that I mentioned specifics about, having a daughter or this, that. It does not matter. We are here to help the world,
Right.
So I just want to know that it's an everyone thing. It's not
Yes.
just solely
It's an
me.
everyone thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Now, until we see you guys again,
Yeah.
go out and make it a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And I appreciate you.
It's okay. So don't miss next week when Melanie and I give you the who, what, where, when, and why, and how. And don't forget to share and subscribe.